I'm going to make very traditional food today. It's called stuffed grape leaves, or as we call it, dolma. I'm going to use this Orlando brand. This is my favorite brand. It's one of the most expensive, but if you can find this, go get it. You can use any one brand you want, but make sure the leaves are a little thicker. What I'm going to do with this is open it, drain it, and then boil it in hot water for 5 minutes just to soften it up and get all the extra salt out. If you don't want to do that, you want to skip that step, that's fine, but make sure you wash it really well. That's for the stuffing, for the rolling. Now, these are the only ingredients you need, and I'm going to walk you through it. I bought this pre-ground, half beef, half lamb. Okay, and I put a little bit of olive oil in it because I want it to be very olive oily. Okay, I'm just gonna use the Trader Joe's brand. Now, for the meat, you can grind it yourself, but this butcher I found recently, I trust him, so I'm going to use it. This is 3.5 pounds. I think I'm gonna have a little leftover for the jar of grape leaves, but that's okay. Yeah, I'll freeze it. For this 3.5 pounds of meat, I'm going to use 2 medium-sized onions, and I'm going to ground them or put them through the food processor. You have to get this rice that's not long. Make sure your rice does not smell. You cannot use jasmine for this. You cannot use long grain rice for this. It has to be short grain bubble rice. If you can find shorter than this, even better. For the 3.5 pounds of meat, I'm going to use 1.5 cups of rice washed, cleaned very well. The reason I use so much rice is because I like mine with a lot of rice. If you don't like yours with a lot of rice, don't do it. You use a little less. And a huge bunch of cilantro. I love my dolma very, very herby, very flavorful. So I'm gonna use a lot of cilantro. Try to only use cilantro, no other herbs. We have salt. I always cook with Himalayan pink salt. I have just black pepper. I have mint. Okay, so this is crushed mint. It is all of that, probably a big tablespoon. I'm gonna use all of it because I love it. Again, herby and minty. Okay, so the cilantro we're gonna chop up in tiny pieces. Let's put a lot of nice pepper here. That's about enough. We're going to use salt. That's about enough for us. We're going to use all of the rice. Washed very well. Done. Now I'm gonna chop up the cilantro. Put the onion through the food processor and add it to it, and then we're gonna go ahead and mix everything very well. I prefer to wear gloves when I mix meat. If you want to do it with bare hands, go ahead. Like so, small pieces, just like that. And as you chop, you're gonna add it to your meat. Okay, I ground those 2 onions, and this is what I have. We're gonna add it to the meat, and we're gonna start mixing it well. I have my helpful glove on. Just gonna start mixing it well. You mix it until everything is incorporated into each other. It'll take a few minutes to do a good mixing, and then we'll start preparing the leaves as our meat rests nicely. See, it's already getting colorful. I love this food to be very, very flavorful, but from the herbs, from the cilantro and from the dried mint. Try not to use fresh mint. Try to use just dried mint with it. Look at that, right? No. Imagine doing that with bare hands. It's not possible for me. I dislike it, but listen, if you're comfortable, you can do it. This is time consuming, the food, to make this dolma, but it's so delicious and well worth it. And you're not doing it a lot, often. You're doing it once in a while for holidays or just for a birthday or a nice family dinner. So it's gonna be time consuming, but if you make extra, you can also freeze it really well. It freezes well, and then you can defrost it and heat it up over on the top of the stove and enjoy it. But just try not to microwave it. So good, right? Okay, I'm gonna finish mixing this up for another minute probably, and then we'll go and start prepping our grape leaves. The meat is done. Look at the beautiful color. And what's delicious about this meat is the smell is already intoxicating. It's so good. Now I brought my water to a boil in a big pot, and we're gonna go ahead. Okay, we will have an accident. My jar of grape leaves. If you have these fresh in your garden, it'll be so good. Now this food is from Azerbaijan, the one you make with lamb and beef. You can also make it with just plain beef, but try not to make with plain lamb because then it's gonna taste like lamb. But this is from Azerbaijan, okay? In Turkey, they do with meat as well, but they mostly do with rice. In other Middle Eastern countries, it's more common to have it just stuffed with rice. I'll make that for you too, because there's a special way you do the rice. But we're so used to making it with meat. So we're gonna let this cook for 5 minutes to soften it up and get rid of all that unnecessary sodium. Oh, you could already smell the grape leaves. They also smell divine. And I'll show you step by step how to do everything. I'm gonna open this. These little heads, what are those? The stems, we're gonna cut them off before we start rolling, one by one. I'll show you how to roll it. Okay, in 5 minutes, we'll come back to this. We'll drain it. Be careful, it's very hot. And then we'll let it cool another 5 minutes and we'll start rolling it. Okay, I'm gonna show you how to roll. The grape leaves cleaned, in the hot water. They were boiling for 5 minutes and then I cleaned them. These are really big. If you have patience, you can cut it in half and make really small ones. I don't have that kind of patience. I make big ones, so I'm gonna show you. You take this much meat. You fold it in from the top. You fold this side in. You fold the other side in, and you roll. You roll just like that. Okay. Let's do a small one. We try to do them all the same size. You fold the top, you fold the sides, and you roll. This looks like it's gonna be small because the grape leaf is ripped. Gonna roll the top, roll the sides, and roll. Okay. I make them big, don't judge, because I don't have patience for the tiny ones, as I said. But if I see a grape leaf is really huge, see, cut off the stem. If you want to set up your station so that you're sitting and you're doing this and you're watching a little movie or some TV, go ahead. So you're not bored. Tuck it in, go ahead. Now you see I have this big pot. This is where I make it usually. You want to put a few leaves, like the ripped ones like these, on the bottom, shiny side up, on the shiny side up. One more. Let's find another one that's been tortured. Looks like this has been tortured. Right here. See? It's all ripped. You don't want to waste them. And to keep from your dolma from burning, there you go. You put it like that. And now you're gonna take your dolmas and you go around. Ooh! That was... You're gonna go around like that in a circle. And you can do up to 3 layers. Okay, 1 layer, 2, 3, and then another pot if you have a lot. Because you don't want it to be too many layers, then they're not gonna cook properly and they're gonna mush. So you want it to be 1, 2, 3, and then we're gonna put a heavy plate on it, put hot water on it, and let it cook. And lemon slices also if you want. I'm gonna do this, and when the 3 layers are done, I'm gonna show you. See how I packed that? There you go. Now this is the first layer finished. We're gonna do the second layer. Okay, my meat finished and my grape leaves finished completely. So we have 3 layers right there. It's beautiful, and I boiled water. So I have a lemon that I cut slices. And put this here because there's a cavity there. There we go. I'm gonna put a little bit of olive oil on top. Just drizzle with a little olive oil to give it a beautiful shine. And then we take a plate and put it right over it. And the reason we do that is so as they cook and boil, the dolmas, the grape leaves, they don't open and release all the meat and the stuffing from it. And now we're gonna put it in the heat, just like that. Gonna turn it on, medium-high heat, perfect. And we're gonna boil. We're gonna add the boiling water until it comes up to the edge of the plate. Let me see. Top of the plate so you don't open up the leaves. That's it. The onion has water, okay, and the meat has liquid in it. It's gonna release, so you don't want too much. You don't want them to swim in water. Just wanna cover it until the edges of the plate. And finally, you're gonna cover it just like so, and in a few minutes it's gonna start bubbling and boiling, and you're gonna lower your heat and let it cook. There we go. We'll come back to it. We're gonna check back on it. All right, I cooked it for a whole hour and 15 minutes, and I think it's done. We're gonna see if it is done. We have to carefully remove the plates. They're very, very hot. I put 2 because there was a lot of food in there. All right, let's put these in the sink safely and wait for them to cool down. You see, not a single piece opened because they were so tightly packed there, and the plate really protected them. There's not a lot of liquid in there. You could see the fat, and you see how clean that meat is. There's barely any foaming on it. We're gonna take one from the corner. We will open it up. I'll show you how cute that is. Open it up. It's fully cooked. It looks delicious. There's a lot of rice in there because that's what I like. You don't have to put so much. Cook it until it is done. Don't worry, it's not gonna burn. It's not gonna overcook. It's just going to be perfect. I hope you make this. If you like this video and you think you're gonna make this, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. It's gonna mean a world to me. Thank you so much.